Oh, bless you. It's great to connect with you today. The Lord has certainly been good to us, and we are grateful. We're grateful of His mercy. Special day today. Why is it special? Because we are now going into a brand new chapter, chapter 3 of the book of Proverbs. And I've entitled this particular chapter as Do Not Forget the Instructions of Parents. And if you want to make it a little bit more personal, you could always put, do not forget the instruction of your parents. Um, so we can make it as personal to you, or we say to our children, to all children, do not forget the instructions of your parents. Um, once they are godly men, once it's a godly man and a godly father and a godly mother. And I will also reinforce that if there's ever a time in the history of humanity that uh, there should be and must be and even stress that the mothers and fathers of our time to be wise, it is today. It is in our day and time. As long as we're alive. Now, when the time comes that we obviously we take flight or we change our earth address, if you know what I'm saying, then obviously there's nothing more that I can do or nothing more that you can do. But as long as we are alive in this reality and we're able to interact with the environment in which we are a part of, then we need to very much express wisdom, live a wise life, live a wise life. It's important. It is so important. So let's read the entire um, 35 verses of chapter 3. Now, the chapters may be long. In the last two chapters, in chapter 2, it had 22 verses. Chapter 1 had 33 verses. Chapter 4 is going to have 27 verses, 25, and chapter 5 is going to be 23 verses. But what is quite unique though about these verses is that they are short little quips. If I could say so, very short. Something that if you wanted to memorize a particular verse, it's not long. They're not chunky. They are short and to the point. And it's words of wisdom are not if you take note or if you're observant, words of wisdom or instruction to some extent, they are not long, they're not complicated words, very short and concise and to the point. So let's read. This is the introduction to chapter 3 of Proverbs, and I trust and I hope. Sorry, there's a very feisty fly, really fly. I think I've dealt a blow too, but you'll see shortly if it rains, it's ugly again. Okay, chapter 3, the book of Proverbs, reading from verse 1. My son, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my command. For length of days and long life and peace shall they add to thee. Let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Bind them about thy neck. Write them upon the table of thine heart. So shalt thou find favor and good understanding in the sight of God. Verse 5. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. Be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear the Lord, and depart from evil. It shall be health to thy navel, and marrow to thy bones. Honor the Lord with thy substance, and with the first fruits of all thine increase. So shall thy barn be filled with plenty, and thy presses shall burst out. Verse 11. My son, despise not the chastening of the Lord, neither be weary of his correction. For who the Lord loveth, he corrects, even as a father the son in whom he delighteth. Verse 13. Happy is the man that findeth wisdom, and the man that getteth understanding. For the merchandise of it is better than the merchandise of silver, and the gain thereof than fine gold. She is more precious than rubies, and all the things thou canst desire are not to be compared. The length of days is in her right hand, and in thy left hand riches and honor. Her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths are peace. She is a tree of life to them that lay hold upon her, and happy is every one that retaineth her. The Lord by wisdom hath founded the earth, by understanding hath he established the heavens. By his knowledge the are broken up, and the clouds drop down the dew. Verse 21. My son, let not them depart from thine eye. Keep sound wisdom and discretion. So shall they be life unto thy soul, and grace to thy neck. Then shalt thou walk in thy way safely, and thy foot shall not stumble. When thou liest down, thou shalt not be afraid. Yea, thou shalt lie down, and thy sleep shall be sweet. Be not afraid of sudden fear, neither of the desolation of the wicked when it cometh. For the Lord shall be thy confidence, and shall keep thy foot from being taken. Verse 27. Withhold not good from whom, or from them to whom it is due, when it is in the power of thine hand to do it. Say not unto thy neighbor, Go and come again, and tomorrow I will give it when thou hast it by thee. Devise not evil against thy neighbor, seeing he dwelleth securely by thee. Strive not with a man without cause, if he have done thee no harm. 31. Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his way. For the forward is abomination to the Lord, but his secret is with the righteous. The curse of the Lord is in the house of the wicked, but he blesseth the habitation of the just. Surely he scorneth the scorner, but he giveth grace to the Lord. The wise shall inherit glory, but shame shall be the promoter. Thank God. Now we have read this passage, and I'm quite certain there are certain passages within this chapter that you know quite well. We either have to use it in a message, a counsel, um, in your encouragement, in your exhortation, whatever the case may be. You are quite familiar with some of the passages and verses from this book, from this chapter. But in our going into it in the coming day, let's go into it with fresh mind and fresh thoughts. Now, I'm not saying that you must forget what you know about the Torah. That's not what I'm saying. Because what it is that you have heard or read or come to understand may be so. But I believe, my friend, that just as how God is too high, too low, too wide to go around above or below him, then there is always something new. That the higher you get to, you see things that you'll never see. The deeper you go, man, the depth is too much, and the the the, the gravity of understanding of what he is saying is we is new every morning. Yeah. So let's let's sit down and listen. Again, if I can use this, let's sit down and listen to what Solomon is saying. Let's listen carefully. Let's be attentive. Let us be receptive. Let us respond and let us be diligent again in listening to what the wise man Solomon again is saying to us. Because a few times he says, "My son, forget not my law." Or again, he says, "My son, despise not the chastening of the Lord." Again, he says, "My son, let not them depart from thy eye." So we see here that Solomon was quite attentive and concerned about those that he would be giving instruction to. And who is to say? He could have been talking to Rehoboam, his son. He had many sons, but seeing the gravity of leadership that he had to deal with, lives that he had to influence, lives and situations and circumstances that he had to rule over, he did need the wisdom of God. And I believe more often or more than not that he may have been talking to Rehoboam. He may have at times, as he grew, as he matured, knowing that his son would take over from him as king. He just well have been talking to his son. But who is to say? Because there were many children around him, there were many wise men around him, there were many courtiers around him, there were many knowledgeable men around him, and the relationship that he had with these individuals, they were close. They would hang on, I'm quite sure, to every word that he said to them. And so, because he cared for people, because he cared for those who were around him, that relationship would if I can say, endear them, draw them so close that he would say, "My son." We haven't read where he would say, "My daughter," but I'm quite sure that there were females around him that he loved, not so much in a in well, let me he loved them in a paternal way because he wanted to see both the men, the women, the girls, and the boys. He wanted them to live right. And again, it could be this. This could have been written way down in his age as he was getting on. He lived long and he did many things. Yes, a lot of things that weren't right. But he learned from these things. That's all I can say. The wisdom of God allowed him to see the mistake and to learn from the mistake. And he was able. That is why, I believe he left this for you and I. Because he doesn't want you. He doesn't want me. He doesn't want those who read or those who he cares for in as much as those who love the Lord to fall into the same rut and make the same mistakes as he did. So may God bless you. I look forward to going through chapter 3 with you. Let's see what we can gain and grow.